Hello and welcome back to Business Communication. We are in week 7 today, and this should be our last online lecture. Next week, we are supposed to start meeting in person on campus. So that is great news. Hopefully that holds, and we will indeed start next week. If anything changes, I'll let you know. So for now, this will be our last online lecture. And I said we are doing week 7. It also is unit 7, which is about people, as you can see here in our textbook on page 66. Today, like in our other lectures, I'm going to go through the textbook, point out a few things to help you get the most out of your textbook, explain some maybe vocabulary and grammar that you may not know yet, and help you with that, and then give you a little homework at the end. So let's start with this activity A. It gives you, now this is a pair work activity, but of course you are home alone, you don't have a partner. So think about your answers to these questions. We will do this when we meet in person. So think about not just your answer, but your answer plus a little extra information, and I'll give you some examples of my own here. We're not going to talk about everyone, but I'll pick out a couple to give you some examples. Got a bit of a cough. Don't worry, it is not corona. So if I cough a little during this video, please just ignore that, and I apologize for that. So let's start with number 1 here. Do you like to work alone? Or do you like to work in a team? Or do you like to work with a partner? In my case, I'm a little bit shy. I'm a little bit of an introvert. So if you gave me the choice, I would probably choose to work alone. That doesn't mean I don't like people or I don't like to work in a team. I'm fine working in a team. I do well in a team, but I really would prefer to work alone. So the next one is about time, appointments. Do you like to be early or on time or late? In my case, I like to be early, actually very early. If I'm on time, I'm worried that I might be late. So that makes me very stressed, and I don't like to be stressed. So if I get there early, I can always read a book or do something else so I don't get bored. But at least that way I am relaxed and not stressed out. Let's do one more. How about number 3? Do you prefer to work at home, in an office, or outside? Well, because of Corona, I've been working at home, and actually I quite like it. It's very convenient to work at home. It's a little bit hard to teach from home because I'd like to be able to talk more with my students. But as far as putting together lectures and doing preparation, it's been nice to do that at home. So there you have 3 examples of how I answered those 3 questions, and you'll notice that I answered it, but I also gave extra information, and you should do the same when we do this activity in class. So for now, just jot down some notes, some extra things that you could say about each of your answers there. And then, like I said, when we meet, we'll do this activity in person. All right. Now we have some vocabulary related to personalities. This unit is about people, so it is useful to know how to describe people, and people have different personalities. So over on the left, you have a description of a type of person. So for example, they like to spend time with other people. Okay. And on the right, you have a list of adjectives that describe people's personalities. So if you like to spend time with other people, let's think about that. That's someone who is like outgoing, someone who is an extrovert. Let's look down our list here and see if there's anything that is similar to that. Ambitious, no. Creative, no. Hardworking, no. Motivating, no. Helpful, no. Let's see. This word sociable. If you don't know this word, you can see that soc is in there, and soc is related to people. Another word for sociable is sort of like friendly. So if you are sociable, you enjoy being with people. And so that's the best answer for number one. If you like to spend time with other people, you are sociable. Okay, and so you're gonna go ahead and match the descriptions with the words. If there are any words you do not know, go ahead and look them up in your excuse me, online dictionary. I'll give you a couple of hints here. And if you're ambitious, you work very hard to try to get to the top, to get a promotion, to improve yourself, and to get a better position. Motivating. This is an example of maybe a boss who does things to help you be motivated. So they might give you a speech, and after the speech you feel like, yeah, I can do it, I'm gonna do it. So that's a type of person who has the ability to make you feel motivated. Punctual, on time, not late. Sociable, we did. Practical. Practical, I think you can look up if you want, and same with reliable. So you probably know those, but again, if you need to, go ahead and look them up. Okay, then we have, you're gonna read about Maria Carlson and use those adjectives from part A and to describe Maria. Okay. Think about what adjectives would be important in a boss. What type of boss would you want? And what type of colleague would you want? A person that you work with in a team. Are those the same adjectives, or did you have different adjectives for each person? And think about why. Okay, we have our listening here. So again, that's the listening files are in the file section on Canvas. You can find those there. Go ahead and listen. As you listen, if there are any words or expressions that you don't catch because the speakers are talking too fast, remember that the scripts are in the back of this book, and you can go back there to look more closely at what the speaker said. It's a good way to pick up new expressions if you can't quite catch them when they're speaking. Okay, so A, B, C, and are all done from the listening files. And then D, think about your answers, write down some notes. Right? What kind of people do you like working with? What kind of people do you not like working with? Okay, we have a little bit of grammar here. Past simple with negatives and questions. And we have this, what's called an auxiliary verb did for negatives and questions, plus the infinitive form of the verb. So this is a negative statement. You didn't like your colleague, right? I didn't like my coworker. And then here we have a question. Did he leave the company? Which means, did he quit? Did he quit the company? Did he leave? Did he quit his job? So again, did plus the infinitive form. Because did is already in past tense, you don't need to make the verb into past tense. That stays in the infinitive or normal form. Why? Here's a question. Why did he leave the company? Why did you go to Busan? Why didn't you come to class? Why didn't you do your homework? So this is very useful because we ask questions in English all the time. So you really need to practice this a lot so that it becomes natural and so that you don't have to think about it every time you ask a question or make a negative statement. Okay, so did plus action verbs. And then down here below, we have how to use the verb to be. So you have to conjugate that verb. He wasn't good at his job. So past tense, he was not good at his job. They were not happy at work, so they didn't like their jobs. And was Dan efficient? Yes, he was very efficient. He worked quickly and effectively. When were they in France? When were they in France? They were in France last year, for example. So you're using adjectives here. Was Dan efficient, right? Efficient is an adjective. They weren't happy. He wasn't good. Those are all adjectives. And then we're also talking about a time here. When were they in France? All right. So I hope that's clear. Down here, you've got some mixed up sentences. You just need to put those in the proper order. And then you can listen to check if your answers were correct in part B. In part C, each sentence here has a mistake related to the grammar we just learned about. So try to find that mistake and fix it. And then write the correct answer over on the right. Part D, you're going to choose, do you need to use did, was, or were for each of these questions? Okay. And then part E, you've got a little text here, and you need to read the text and then write questions using each of these question words. They did one for you. Where did Danielle grow up? So I'll read that for you. Danielle grew up in Geneva, which is in Switzerland. She studied engineering at university in Paris. Then she worked for Renault for 4 years from 2004 until 2008. She left Renault because she wanted to do an MBA. She did an MBA at the Harvard Business School in 2009. Good for her. Her next job was with GE. GE is General Electric. You'll notice that text sounds very similar to what we did last week with our profiles on page 57, where you're explaining your past using time and years and talking about your education and jobs. So that should be a bit of a review for you. You just need to write some questions about that little reading using those question words in the box there. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions written when you finish that. All right. This is a reading activity here. We're going to read about Andrea Jung. And it says here, before you read, to think about what famous business women do you know? And what qualities do you need to be a successful business executive? So famous business women, I would think of Oprah Winfrey. She was a talk show host. She's also a businesswoman. That's the most famous one I can think of. There's also Carly Fiorina, who was CEO of Hewlett Packard, I believe. And for qualities, if you think back to page 67, all those adjectives we had, what are some qualities that a successful business executive might have? Well, they're probably hardworking and ambitious. For sure, those two. And you might have some other ideas about what makes a successful executive. Let's go ahead and read through this. I'll read it for you, point out any difficult words or expressions, and then you're going to go back here and do these activities related to the reading. So this one is called Women at the Top, Andrea Jung. In 2011, Andrea Jung celebrated 12 years as chief executive, CEO, right, of Avon Products. It is a big job. Avon sells cosmetics door to door in more than 120 countries. It has 6.2 million sales representatives and 1 billion customers. It sells 4 lipsticks and 190 mascaras every second. All right, so this is what we call a direct sales company. They sell things directly to consumers. Jung was born in Toronto to Chinese immigrant parents. Her parents moved to the US when she was 2 to get a better education for their children. She grew up in Massachusetts and graduated from Princeton. She speaks fluent Mandarin. My parents were very important in forming my views about leadership, she says. Determination is a strong quality in Chinese culture. In her early career, she had a job that wasn't interesting. She told her parents she didn't like the job and wanted to quit. Quit, they said? The Chinese don't quit. You learn more from bad than good experiences. That's how you grow. So this word, determination. If you are determined to do something, you will not stop until you do it. You'll put your head down and work very hard until you reach your goal or do the thing that you want to do. So continuing here, Jung joined Avon in 1994. 4 years later, she became Avon's first female CEO. At that time, the company had revenues or sales of $4 billion. Today, its revenues are more than $10 billion. So it sounds like Andrea has done a good job as CEO. Avon is known as the company for women. Most of Avon's representatives are women. About half the managers and 4 out of the 9 members of Avon's board are women. Jung says there are good business reasons for management teams with a mix of men and women. In mixed teams, communication and decision-making are better. Famous for her long black hair, pearl necklaces, and her passion for Avon, Jung is one of the world's top business leaders. She is also on the board of GE and Apple. Okay, so I think I explained most of the words that could give you trouble there. And so you're going to use this article again to answer these questions and do these activities. So true or false. You should fill out this profile here. And then this is, I really like this, find words or phrases with these meanings. So there is a word or phrase in that article that has the following meaning: people who sell a company's products. And it gives you a big hint here. It tells you what paragraph it's in. So if we look down here, let's do that one together. The people who sell a company's product. So it's about people. So we know it's going to be a noun. So it's the name of a person who sells things. We could guess something like seller, but that word is not here. So Avon sells cosmetics door to door. It has 6.2 million sales representatives and 1 billion customers. Okay, so sales representatives. That is, let me see if I can get my pen going here. That'll be good. Sales, how does this work here? Oh, let me change my thing. Sales representative. So that's, oh, that's nice. So that would be your word for number one, sales representatives. Number two, when you decide to do something and do not let anything stop you. That is a word that I talked about in detail. So that should be easy for you to find. Okay, so I'll let you finish that on your own. All right, we have one more grammar focus here. So can questions with yes or no in 2 ways. All right, so we're going to use be with a modal verb can. He is ambitious. He is ambitious. And we can make a question by saying, is he ambitious? Is he ambitious? And then we have she can see us now. So we can use can to make that question. Can she see us now? Can she see us now? So those are examples with be or can. And then with other verbs, we have Anna likes Madrid. And here we're going to use do. Does she like Madrid? Does Anna like Madrid? Joe left the company. This is a past tense, left. So we are going to use the past tense of do. Did Joe leave the company? Did Joe leave the company? Okay. And it says here, we begin other types of questions with a question word such as why, where, when, how, etc. So she works hard. Okay, that's great. Why does she work hard? Why? This was a present tense describing her. So we're going to use present tense of do. Why does she? And then basic form, infinitive form of the verb work. He went away. We've got our past tense of go. When? We're going to use the infinitive form of go. And so we need the past tense of do. When did he go? When did he go away? They were stressed. This we used the be verb here. They were stressed. So now we're not going to use do. We're going to use be. And that's past tense. So we're going to use past tense. Why were they stressed? They were stressed. Why were they stressed? Okay. So she works hard. Why does she work hard? He studies late. Why does he study late? Maybe he has a test tomorrow. He went away. She ate lunch at a restaurant. When did she eat lunch at a restaurant? They were hungry. Why were they hungry? They skipped breakfast, for example. Okay. Now we have an article about one of my favorite people, Steve Jobs. I'm sure you all know who he is. And there's a couple of questions here before you read the article. What was Steve Jobs' greatest success? And what made him successful? So think about everything you know about Steve Jobs. What do you think was the best thing that he did, and why was he successful? What made him successful? Okay. Then with this reading, you're going to do something a little different. You'll notice that there's information missing here. You're going to ignore that. Just read through quickly. Don't worry about the information that's missing. You can still figure out the meaning of this text without it. And then you're going to go ahead and finish these questions. And you'll see sample answers that'll help you. So if for this one, we're talking about places, and we can go back up here. We see the word born. Okay. So we can guess that, okay, this is probably about where he was born. And then here, let's do this one together. So we have a manager at Hewlett Packard, his father, his friend, Steve Wozniak. Okay, so this is about people. So that's probably going to be a who question. Let's see what we can figure out here. So in 1976, after dropping out of college, Jobs started Apple with, he started Apple with probably a person. And so that could be our question. Who, right? Start is our verb here. Started. So who, I'll try to write here and see how it works with my mouse. Who, we have the verb started, so we're going to use do, right? And we're going to make it past tense. Who did Steve, this is not working very well. No, not at all. Who did Steve start? Base form, infinitive. I'll just do that part. Who did Steve start Apple with, right? And so you're going to do the same thing for the rest of these questions. Then you've got a listening activity here. You can listen to the whole thing and check the questions that you wrote, and then answer the questions in the quiz. Okay, use your answers to complete the article on page 70. Okay, so go ahead and read all of the questions that you wrote and then answer them, and then go back to the article and fill in the blanks based on your answers. Okay. And you will learn a lot of new things about Steve Jobs. Very interesting person for sure. Okay, I like this activity here, part G. Complete these sentences about yourself. Give true information. So don't lie. Don't lie about this. So last year I bought, so something that you bought last year. Yesterday I was, this is was, so we're probably going to use an adjective, maybe how you felt, right? I was lonely, or yesterday I was scared, or you could also use it to explain where you were, right? Yesterday I was at Emart, for example. And then last summer we're going to have a verb here, so what, something you did last summer. And when I was a child, something you did or something about you when you were a kid. Okay, let's move down here to our skills. Okay, so this one, think about two people are trying, they have a problem. Two people try to solve a problem. So what do you think is a good idea when people have a problem? So should they describe the problem in detail? Should they show strong feelings? Should they give reasons if they have to say no? Should they speak quietly? Should they find a solution immediately? Okay, this could be different depending on your culture. I think Korean culture, for example, and US culture are very different. So my answer to this might be different from your answer to this. So think about like the two most important things, two of them, two most important things, and explain why you think those are important. Okay. And you've got a listening activity here and here. Go ahead and do those. This we will do in class when we meet. So don't worry about that one. Useful language. This is important because you're going to need this for your homework this week, your online discussion. Online discussion. Your online discussion is on Canvas already. So after I explain it, if you have a question or don't remember exactly what to do, go back to Canvas and you can check it out there. So we're going to use our case study. You're not doing the case study exactly, but we're going to use the case study for our online discussion. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is read these two messages. Okay. Read them both. These are people complaining about people at work. You know, our topic today is people. So these are related to people problems. Okay. So read both of those and then choose one. Choose one. And you're going to write in your online discussion a message. This is actually down here. Write a reply to one person and give reasons for your suggestion. So what should this person do and why? And because you're giving suggestions and giving advice, this will be useful for you. Okay, so you can use this language to give advice, make suggestions. Okay, so that's part one of your online discussion. In part two of your online discussion, let me see if I can bring up my Canvas here. And it looks like I can. So I'll bring that up here. And that is, so part one I just explained to you. Part two, follow the example of the message board post and write about a problem you have with people at work. So remember, you are 40. We've been pretending that we're 40 and that we have a job and a career and that you've been working there. So imagine what kind of problem you might have with someone at work in that job. Okay, and you write just like one of these. You use one of these as your example. It should be a similar length. And explain to us what the problem that you're having at work is. Could be with a coworker, it might be with customers, it might be with a boss. So explain that there, and then you must give advice to 3 people. So read everyone's problems and choose 3 people and give them suggestions. Again, using this language here to help you. Okay, give suggestions, offer solutions for your classmates. Problems at work. Okay, that'll be due Friday. Friday, May 1st. Friday, May 1st. You have also be sure to comment under this video, as always, for your attendance. Comment on Monday, today. You're probably watching this on Monday, April 27th. So be sure to comment by Monday, April 27th, and post your homework, your online discussion by May 1st, which is Friday. As always, if you have any questions, please send me a message on Kakao, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So good luck with your homework, and I look forward to reading your online discussions. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in person soon, hopefully next week. So until then, bye-bye.